2, 1, and we're live. We may have been live while I was counting, but you know what? I like to give it a couple of extra seconds because, why rush into things? Good morning. My name is Sean Shapiro. Today is the 4th of July. Happy 4th to anyone celebrating down in our friends in the States. And we have many who join us on the show and watch us. So happy 4th of July for those celebrating. What are we talking about today? Well, this is Ask a Traffic Cop, and we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general. If you've got questions, we generally have answers. Generally. I like the word general today. What are we talking about? Let's start off with something really brief. How can you ask me questions? I'm so glad you asked that question. You can get to me by being on Instagram using the Q&A feature. TikTok, you can use a chat because let me see here. If I hit the button, it's still broken. Q&A is not working on TikTok. Don't know why, but they really messed it up. Additionally, you can get us on our other platforms. What are those platforms? Again, I'm glad you asked. YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, Twitter doesn't actually work for questions. Yeah, I know. Another thing that's broken. This interweb business is hard, but the connection that allows you to ask me questions is broken since they changed from. It used to work since they changed from Periscope to whatever it's called now, Twitter Live. Yeah, Twitter Live is broken. So if you've got questions, ask them on any of the platforms that actually support it. If you would like to try something new, and I really hope you do, check out VolleyApp. VolleyApp is an app that allows you to send me video messages. It allows you to send me voice messages and text messages, even attachments. And VolleyApp is cool. I've been playing with it a lot. There's a great community here, but we have created a community just for us. So here's what I'm going to do. If you go to Twitter and check out VoiceOver Cop, that's my handle on Twitter. There's a link if you scroll back, and hold on a second. Doing this live because I can. We're going to the traffic services, hitting invite. I'm hitting copy. I'm about to tweet it. I'm going to do it. I'm not messing. Here we go. If you want to join, this is the link, and here's the link. Pasting. All these notifications. Okay, if you go to VoiceOver Cop, you will see the link to get into the section of VolleyApp to ask me questions, and then we're going to be able to do this nice organized thing. You can appear on the show virtually, where I can hold up my other phone and say hey and play your message. Here's a question that we'll jump into. Actually, no, I got to do one more thing, and then we're going to get into that question. It's the speeding about drive or speeding. It's a speeding question. But let's get into the first thing. Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Where are they today? Well, I'll get into what they are and where they are. But let's start with where they are today. They are in 55 Division and 41 Division. The neighborhoods of Junction, Weston, High Park, Roncy, the beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York. What did I say? Oh, is this duplicated? Am I about to read these twice? That's duplication. Where are they? Did I just read the wrong thing? 11 and 41. Okay. I started off, they're not in the beaches. They're not in Riverdale. They're not in Danforth or East York, but they are in Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. Those are neighborhoods served by those divisions by 11 and 41, which is where they actually are. Yes, they are. All right, it's Monday, first day of camp for many. I hope that if you have little ones that are enjoying camp, that they're out and about safe and sound. And if you're driving today, know that people are at camp. That means more people, not in school, but in different areas, going to different places. And we want to make sure that they get to where they're going safe and sound every day. So if you've got questions, please use one of the many ways we've discussed. We might have some other voices on the air today. Do we have other voices on the air today?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe? Okay. Sergeant Campbell might be joining us at some point. It is busy. And no air conditioning. So if you see me melting, you know why. It's because the air is not working. That is why there's a big fan in the background. I've reduced the volume. For my voice might be a little quieter today, and that's because I don't want you to have to listen to quite as much. If I pump it up, you can hear the wonderful. Yeah, it's horrible. So I'll keep it low. Keep it as low as possible, so that you can still hear me, but not. Is it loud enough? Can you actually understand me? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I hope you are. I hope it's okay. Any confirmation is good. All right. Kayla Jaconis is coming in from YouTube and says greetings and salutations and mentions the fact that winning a Harley is a form of independence. That's very interesting. You should say that. You could win a Harley Davidson and you could be a wonderful, magical human being supporting a wonderful charity. What charity? I'm glad you asked. We're doing a lot of this. I'm glad you asked business today. So the deal is that we are supporting Special Olympics Ontario. They are a magical group of people who do great things for the community. They help people who have special needs compete in sport, do amazing stuff. So how can you support them? HarleyRaffle.ca. You can buy a ticket, one ticket for 20, 3 tickets for 50. That money goes to, obviously has to pay for a motorcycle, but ultimately goes to raise money for Special Olympics Ontario. I want to win a Harley. My buddy won a Harley last year, and many people have done it in the years that we've done prior to last year, because it's just a good thing, and who doesn't love a free motorcycle? Big Jeff Fresh confirming that I sound good coming through Twitch. Thank you very much. All right, I got a couple of TikTok questions to start with. The questions are, can one get speeding ticket if driving 102 in a 100 zone? So is 2 kilometers over speeding? Well, actually it is. You're not allowed to exceed the speed limit at all. Now, are we going to pull someone over for 1, 2, or even 3 kilometers over? Probably not. That doesn't mean they can't. It's just, it's not probable. Should you be speeding? No. You should be going at or below the speed limit, no more. But, you know, we understand that sometimes the hill, I don't know, you go over 1 or 2, we're not looking for that. 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah, you start to become more interesting as you go up. Obviously, as you go up, not only does the dollar amount change, but the number of points that you are in jeopardy of getting on your license go up. But the offense doesn't change. It's still just speeding. Now, I say it doesn't change, and then I must say that if you're doing 40 over the limit in certain areas, or 50 over the limit in other areas, or 150 kilometers an hour anywhere, well, that's stunt driving, and that does change the charge. That becomes stunt driving. It comes with a 14-day impoundment of your vehicle and a 30-day suspension of your license. So things that you need to know, but nobody should be going that fast. Nobody. It's just, unless you're on a racetrack, which you could be doing if you race in the Honda Indy coming up later this month, and I will be at Honda Indy all weekend. So if you want to come by and say hello, you should, because we're going to have a booth next door to the OPP and the MTO, and we'll be doing some live streaming from there. So definitely come by and say hello. A first official meet and greet, I think, is going to be for those who are there. Is it illegal to wear open-toe shoes in Ontario while driving? Open-toe shoes? How about, no, it's not. Sandals, flip-flops, not my favorite footwear for driving, but it is not illegal to wear them. So, you know, barefoot driving was something I was told was illegal when I was a kid. It is not illegal in Ontario. Maybe someplace else it could be, but it is not that way here. Let's get some other stuff here. We have, is it illegal to flash your headlights in order to let them know speed trap ahead? It's not illegal to do that. I think it's immoral. You're gonna get them to change their behavior momentarily to avoid getting a ticket, and then they're gonna speed up again once they pass whatever it is they were avoiding, and then they go and kill somebody or get into a collision, and you did it. Better you should let them get caught, and then maybe that ticket will help slow them down. Honestly, the idea of a ticket isn't to make money for the government. The idea of a ticket is to change bad driving behavior. It is bad driving if you speed. It's not okay. If you want to give them a high beam, hey, it's improper use of high beams, of bright lights. It's improper use of your beams. So yeah, you could get a ticket, but the bigger issue is that you are actually working actively to make the roads less safe. So do what your morals direct you to, and you might get a ticket, you might not, for the high beam, because it's illegal to do it within 150 meters of oncoming traffic, but that's another story. Do the police take co-op students from high school? Yes, we do. We have in the past. I don't know if we're actively recruiting co-ops right now. I have someone who's asked to work with me, and we're going through the motions to see if we can make that happen, because I think that would be cool. Definitely want to support education and folks that are interested in policing and media, because this is now a media office. We're different than regular police. We're doing some wacky stuff. Hey, if you're new to this channel, my name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we talk about traffic law, traffic safety, and police stuff, but you can basically talk to us about anything. You know, what's your favorite donut? Yeah, we talk about that because it's relevant. It's important. I even tagged Tim Hortons because I was so impressed with their Reese's peanut butter donut. Like, it was worthy of the calories and the carbs. I had to try it. I might have a problem with peanut butter. In any case, if you don't follow us, please do. We do this Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It is a consistent thing while I'm in the office. Even when I'm on vacation, I try and go live because I want to get you answers to your questions. It's all about you. A question that is truly driven by your questions, and that's what we do. That's it. Nothing else, nothing complicated. Hey, over the weekend, we arrested some people. Yes, we did. They were people who were driving under the influence of alcohol. So over the Canada Day long weekend, 19 people were arrested for impaired operation offenses. 6 were at least twice the legal limit. A driver with 2 young children in her car was arrested, and one driver who struck and killed a pedestrian. Now, I say the pedestrian died at the scene. If you strike a pedestrian and they subsequently die, I think you're responsible for that. That's how it works. But at the end of the day, some bad stuff happened, and alcohol was party to it. So you know what? If you're going to drive a motor vehicle or a conveyance of any kind, do it sober. No drugs, no alcohol. We don't want to lose another life on our roads, and we don't want to see anybody else injured based on the stupid decisions that some people choose to make. And it's a choice. No one accidentally got behind the wheel of a car when they were drunk. They knew they had consumed alcohol, and they knew what the consequences were when they got behind the wheel, and they chose to risk it anyway. So that's a thing, and it's sad. And I'm sorry to the friends and family of the people who have lost loved ones because of these choices. And I'm a big advocate. Don't drink and drive. Hey, we had an episode, the whole episode we had come out on TPS Traffic Jam. That was all about impaired driving. So go check that out. TPS Traffic Jam, anywhere you get your podcasts, or even the video version that went out on all platforms. Hey, if you don't already follow us, and I'm getting back into questions. Okay. Is it illegal to have your license plate mounted on the side of your car? Okay, we need to clarify. Are you talking from, putting my hand in front of the microphone, are you talking about from the center to the side, or do you mean on the side? Language matters. Off center is legal. Some cars come factory with a mount off to the side. I advocate that if someone is allergic to having their license plate mount attached to their bumper, they should use a tow hook mount, which is offset to the side. You need to have it forward facing at the front of the vehicle in a conspicuous place. That's the deal. You can't have it behind the windshield, but yeah, left or right of center is no problem. The side facing, the side, like facing out your passenger window, not okay. Just want to make it clear. I know that's not what you're asking, but like I said, language matters. Car gets towed, storage fees added to towing fee. Yes, if your car is impounded, there are fees for storing your vehicle. Sometimes there's a short period of time when they may not, but it's up to the towing company and the contracts. If we're towing it, it's going under contract, and all those fees are set. What do we got here? Why don't you go arrest people instead of staying indoors? I love the hate. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm a police officer. Yes, I was injured in the line of duty, and not because I got shot, but because I was involved in a collision on duty as a motorcycle operator with the motor squad. Since then, I have not been able to return to full duties on the road. However, I found this magical place on TikTok and other social media platforms where I get to educate people about all the laws and stuff and help people make good decisions, and it's an amazing thing. And we've amassed, let me look at the counter, 579,127 followers. It actually went down one as I was reading that. It went from 128 to 127. Who left? Was it you? I do this every day. I do more than this. This is not the only thing I do, but it is an important function. Traffic education is a large component of traffic safety. We would rather teach you something than ticket you to get the same message across. So if I can prevent you from breaking the law because we talk about it here, then that is obviously the way to go. If we can't, then you might get a ticket. And hopefully it doesn't get to a point where we're arresting you for something, because that's not the goal. The goal is to prevent issues from happening before they happen. Okay, enough on that. But anyone who's got questions, please feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. If you refuse a DUI, does the officer have the right to search and seizure of the vehicle? If you refuse a DUI, well, you don't get to refuse a DUI. You get arrested for a DUI. So that's driving under the influence. So if you refuse to provide a breath sample, what happens is we will, at the roadside, you're arrested, you're going to be taken back to the station, and you're going to be processed for refuse. Now, you may have an opportunity at the station to provide a sample again, but generally speaking, if you simply refuse, you're going to be arrested there. Your vehicle will be impounded because you're not getting your car back tonight. It's going to be, you can't drive it. You can't just leave it at the side of the road with it. So it's all the same. You lose it for 7 days because it's the same issues. What did I say? Same consequences as if you would have blown over. So you refuse. It's the same thing as if you blow over. So you're getting a 7-day impound, 7-day suspension of your license for that. And you're going to pay for all towing and storage while it's away. But what we do, getting to your actual questions about search and seizure, we are going to search your vehicle, not searching for guns and drugs per se. We're searching for valuable items so we can catalog that, and it gets stowed in it, and we can keep track of everything that's inside the vehicle. So you can't turn around and say, hey, there was a brick of gold in the back seat. When we said, no, we searched it, there was no brick of gold. There was a laptop, and look, it's still there. Now, if we come across illegal things, that changes things. Now we're going to likely apply for a search warrant and do a full search of your vehicle. But it all part and parcel. It's a criminal investigation, but the search is not starting out as a criminal investigation. Okay. Hey, thank you for everyone who's been following us. Thank you for everyone who has joined our live. It makes it better. The more people here and interact with us, hey, you are contributing to amazingness, really, because this show is all about you, answering your traffic and police questions. All right. I have questions about exhaust systems, which I love to hear about. I don't like to hear the exhaust systems. Not that I don't appreciate, a ripping system sometimes, just not when I'm sleeping, and unfortunately, that's when I hear it the most. So aftermarket exhaust systems, are they illegal? Aftermarket does not mean illegal. Illegal means illegal. If it's not meant for the road, if it doesn't meet the guidelines or standards for Ontario, then it's illegal. If it doesn't have a muffler or a resonator, it may be illegal. Well, muffler for sure, but generally speaking, it's going to be muffler, resonator as part. You can have a freer breathing system, one with a better exhaust note, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal. It's going to depend. I need water. Okay. Car mods are for adults. Okay. Sorry. Let's see here. People don't like being told no. It's a funny phenomenon. For DUI, you get fingerprinted. Does that stay on police record forever? So DUI is a criminal offense. So yeah, if you get charged, you're arrested, you're processed for impaired operation. Your fingerprints are part of that. Forever, so a criminal history stays on your record forever. You can apply for a pardon. You can, after a certain period of time, you might be able to apply for fingerprints being removed. I don't know the details on that, but generally speaking, DUI is considered just like any other criminal offense because it's just like any other criminal offense. I have a 1972. It didn't come with seatbelts, but there is a seatbelt installed. Do I need to wear it? Oh, you're in that sweet spot of I don't know, because your vehicle doesn't require them. But now that they're there, are they required to be worn? I honestly don't know. I would assume, and this is making an assumption, is that your vehicle doesn't require them, so you're not required to. But now that you've put them in, I wonder if the argument can be made. Yeah, I don't know. I would always wear the seatbelt because, hey, seatbelts save lives, because they do. It prevents people from, out the window in a rollover and things of that nature. It's a bad. Dying is bad. So wear your seatbelts, even if you don't have to. All right. Michael, good morning from LinkedIn. And Angela, good morning. And we already said good morning to Akela. Is it legal to ride a bicycle down the Don Valley Parkway? And if you see a cyclist, should you call 911? So it is illegal unless it's like a closed road when we do special events for charity. It is illegal to be on a bicycle on the highway. In fact, I believe there's a 50cc minimum requirement to be on the expressway. I think there's signs as you enter them, or at least there used to be when I was a kid. In any case, it's prohibited to be on those with a vehicle. It would be unsafe. So a pedal bike, absolutely prohibited. It's illegal to walk, to be a pedestrian on the on an expressway, which is Don Valley. So we will, when we get calls about pedestrians there, we do dispatch a car and we remove them from the road. Not with a crane, mind you, but we do get them off the road. What is this? If 3 emergency vehicles in Canada Post vehicle all pull up to a 4-way at the same time, who goes first? You know what? Generally speaking, if we're not going to an emergency, the mail needs to go there. No, I'm kidding. You know what? One of these questions, we get these weird questions. Who cares? Who cares who goes first? Let somebody else go first, and then everybody to the right goes second, third, and fourth. If nobody wants to go, someone please give a message to one of them to action forward. But these are not real world problems. We don't. This is not a real world. I can't say real world problem. I don't know. It's Monday. Okay. Can you wrap a license plate like in plastic bags? What kind of wrap? You can't. You can't modify your license plate. You can't to change it in any way, and you can't obstruct any a part of the plate from being seen, which is why license plate frames and license plate covers are prohibited. So yeah, wrapping it in vinyl, which is I assume what you're talking about, not allowed. And not only is it not allowed, it's an offense that you can actually be arrested for. It's a modification of a plate. Can a student apply for cops? What do you mean? Co-op, or can a student apply to become a police officer while they're still studying? So if you meet the minimum requirements, and this is a great opportunity to talk about the fact that we are hiring here at the Toronto Police Service, check out www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers for all the information, all the requirements, everything you need to know. Now, you can apply as soon as you are eligible to apply, even if you haven't finished your degree or your college studies or what have you. And if you get in, great. And if you don't get in, keep studying. But working towards the goal of completing your education is the way to go, if you ask me. How can you check your demerit points? You can get an abstract. You can order one, a driver's license check from the Ministry of Transportation. There's an abstract which is full, and there's a short version which is what everybody else sees. You can order those from the ministry. If I leave a scene of an accident, we call them collisions, so we'll call it, I'll rephrase with your terminology updated to current standards. If I leave the scene of a collision and don't report it, what am I facing? So fail to remain a collision, so you're involved in a collision that's reportable and requires you to stay. There's a myriad of charges. The fail to remain is no fixed amount. It's go to court and answer to a judge or JP. But the deal is it's very serious. And there are additional charges, like if you hit a pedestrian and they're lying on the ground and you took off, that's additional charges for not taking care to make sure that they're okay. So it's serious. If you're in a collision, be a big person and stop and take your licks. If you're responsible, deal with it. Running away bad, we tend to arrest people for that. Okay. Is it what is this? Is it true? Let me pull this one up on screen. It's an Instagram-y account question. Is it true that police officers can only go a maximum of 40 kilometers over the posted speed limit when responding to a call? If they go faster, they get hours deducted through the PSA. No, it's not. It's not right and it's not wrong. There's an in-between. If we can articulate and justify why we're going that speed, we can go that speed. We're responsible for everything we do. So if we're going above the speed limit, even 10 kilometers and over the limit, and it causes a collision, we're going to have to articulate why we did that, and someone may not agree with it. But we are legally permitted to exceed we're legally allowed to exceed the speed limit, but if we cause an issue or something transpires, we are going to have to answer to it. So 40 there's no magical number as to how fast we can go. Obviously, speed differential is the biggest thing. So let's say it's a 90-kilometer speed limit, which it is on the Don Valley Parkway, and there is stopped traffic. I'm not doing even 90, even though I'm not going above the speed limit. If we have stopped traffic, that means I've got a speed differential of 90. That is wildly unsafe. I'm not doing 90 when nobody else is moving. So every situation is different. Every situation stands on its own. Let's see here. Cool. How do I turn that off? How do I get that to go away? Remove the question. There we go. All right. And TikTok's still broken. No Q&A for me. And correct me, nobody can see the Q&A, right? The button's not there. It's not an option. If anybody from TikTok is watching, please fix this. It really is annoying. And in the meantime, let me check to see if anyone has jumped on to the app Volley. How do you get the link to join Volley? Well, you join it by going to Twitter and finding VoiceOver Cop, my handle, and using the link to join the traffic services community, of which there are 6 members. Hang on a second. There's 6 members here? Let me make a video. Announcement video. Here I go. This is an announcement video in the VolleyApp inside the traffic services community group. If you got a question, leave it here. I didn't even see. There's a whole bunch of things here. Hold on. Threads. What's on here? Okay, I'm going to check it out. There's more stuff going on Volley, and I'm really having fun on Volley. If you haven't heard of it, it's because it's new. It's free. Check it out. Water or coffee? I'm being told I need to hydrate. I have both here. I think I'll start with the caffeine. It's cold. All right. How often do cops come to court hearings for the tickets? All the time, unless there's an emergency that says that we have somewhere else to be, like we're needed on the road, and we'd be excused for those emergencies. However, we need to attend. We're obligated to attend, and now we can attend like via Zoom, so there's really no reason not to attend. How much can you tint all of your windows? Window tint is one of my favorite topics. Not really, but we talk about it all the time anyway. The front windshield cannot have any tint unless you have a vehicle manufactured before January 1st, 2017. Then you can have a 3-inch tint strip across the top of the window. So that's one. The windows left and right of the driver. See, we're going front to back here. Windows left and right of the driver. Those can have no more than 30% light blockage for safety. That's a safety standard. Can you still get a ticket for having tinted windows? Yes, you can, because you cannot obscure the interior of your vehicle with a color or reflective coating. So if I can't see inside, and for me, that's going to be a test of can I see the driver, then I can give you a ticket under a different section. Right? One is unsafe vehicle, one is obscure interior. Now, the windows to the rear of the vehicle, the rear passenger, the rear compartment, if you have an SUV or a similar vehicle, those can be as dark as you want. In fact, you can paint them solid black or blue or green or orange. See where we're going? Okay. We have, could an officer open a door to a vehicle during a stop without permission? So, depends on what we're doing. If you're failing to identify, it's a criminal offense. Or sorry, not a criminal offense, but it is an offense under the HTA, and you can be arrested for it. So, yeah, we can extract you from a vehicle. We've had officers who have broken windows to pull people out of the windows because they're refusing to comply. It's not commonplace, but yeah, there would be authority to arrest someone. And then once you're arresting them, you can't just say, no, I don't want to be arrested. That's not how it works. And if we think that you're inebriated, under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and we're, trying to make sure that there's a number of reasons why we could open your vehicle to get to you that we're trying to arrest. What happens if someone runs out in front of your car when the pedestrian walk sign is not shown? So someone who is not lawfully in the intersection, they unsafely get in front of you while you're trying to drive along the way with the right-of-way, then they'd likely get hit, and likely they'd get charged, because that's not a legal thing to do. You can lawfully be in the road crossing. You don't have to always be in a crosswalk, but if you're at a signalized intersection, you're not following the intersection's signals, you can be charged as a pedestrian. What is the difference between tints and tones on a window of a vehicle? Nothing. I've never heard the word tones being used. My ear is very wet. If you missed the earlier, it is hot in here. The air conditioning is not working, and that may be why. Well, it is why you hear the fan that's trying to circulate some air so we don't die in here. Parts are backed up, so we are melting. That's just what's happening. So my ears under these earmuffs are now wet. It's gross. Okay. Is it illegal for motorcycles to cut the lanes in traffic on the highway? So motorcycles and other motor vehicles all have the same rules. Nobody is allowed to drive down the center between vehicles. It's lane splitting. It's illegal. It's careless driving. If I rolled my window and left, what is this? If I rolled my window and left the scene without reporting it, what's going to happen? We talked about this already. You can be charged for fail to remain. This is if you were involved in a collision. You're going to be charged once you're identified. You're going to be charged for fail to remain. It could be more serious than that, depending on what the actual, events of the collision that took place were. So you caused the collision, it was careless driving, and you failed to remain. Yeah, those things just compound. You failed to remain and you killed someone. See, add to the, just makes it worse for you. Just stick around. Can you ride an ATV there? Here, no, you can't ride an ATV in Toronto. It is prohibited. ATVs have very specific off-road rules, and there are rules for when they are on the road, and those can only be operated on the road if you're licensed and have insurance and have plates and have in municipalities that allow it. Can I have a purple light accent headlight, which just glow but not bright? Headlights are still white. There's a lot of discussion about this. So in order for a headlight to be a headlight, it has to produce at least 300 lumens of light. So I think the accent lights are not a problem, and I wouldn't lay the charge. However, someone else reading the law may interpret it differently and may lay the charge. And neither would be wrong. It would be up for the courts to determine what is proper. So you're not allowed to project colored light forward. Yellow and amber are the only two. Again, a headlight is 300 lumens or more. And if you're less than 300 lumens, I'd argue that's not a headlight. However, presenting that light forward could be an issue for somebody else. Okay. What happens if I'm a foreigner arrested for DUI and I'm not in the country anymore? Well, if you were arrested and you left the country while on conditions, you'd probably have difficulty re-entering the country again. I don't think that they would go and try and do an extradition to your home country and bring you back to pay. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if you'd be prevented from leaving. I don't know if they would hold your passport. I don't know if they'd hold you in jail. Actually, you may not get released so easily. I don't know. That's going to be dependent on the conditions of your release. You might be stuck here for a while. You might be deported. I don't know. I've never arrested anyone for impaired or actually, I've never arrested anybody who was not a Canadian or resident before. I've charged people for other things. I've had people deported for other things, for minor traffic, but I've never dealt with it so I don't know. But I bet you I can find you an answer. Just not right now because nobody's around. Let's see here. Good questions. I don't know the answer. Let's see here. Oh yeah, but I will tell you this: if let's say you were released, you did get a bail of some kind, and then you left the country and you decided I'm never coming back. 20 years later, you roll back in, there'd be a warrant for your arrest, and you'd probably be arrested at the border. Do electric motorized bikes require a license? Depends what we're talking about. If it's an electric motorcycle, yes. If it's an e-bike, which conforms to the legislation that is for e-bikes, doesn't go over 32 kilometers an hour on it. It cannot go beyond 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface. Doesn't have more than a 500 watt motor, and a bunch of other things. If you comply with those, then it's not requiring a license or insurance. If it goes 33 kilometers an hour, it's now a motorcycle and requires full license, ownership, and insurance. Okay. If the officer gave you a warning, not a ticket, will be shown to the next officer stopping me? Yes, that's the whole idea, is to create a paper trail, to create a warning that will be there for everyone to see. So if I pull you over and I saw there was a warning, you don't get another one, I'm going to give you a ticket. Can you get a ticket for listening to loud music? Not if it's loud in your headphones, but if I can hear it on the street, if I can hear it from my vehicle, if I'm feeling it in my chest, absolutely. Unnecessary loud noise can be created by your horn, your stereo, your exhaust system, whether it be because of modifications or defunct, broken stuff. I don't know. Just defect. Okay, how fast can you go above the speed limit? Really? Hold on. Nothing. The speed limit is the, wait. Limit. It's the limit. I don't know why this question keeps coming up, because to me it makes a whole lot of sense. The speed limit is the limit, not the minimum, not a suggestion. You can't go over it. And if you go over it, you can get a ticket. Now, you may not get a ticket for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. Like, it depends on the officer, because there's discretion, and each person sets their own little condition as to where they think it's reasonable to stop someone. Could be, some people look for stunt drivers, and they focus on those people doing 50 over or 40 over or 30 over, depending on the area. Well, it's 40 over stunt in some areas, 40s over in some, and 50 over in others. 30 over could be the threshold for some officers, not stunt, but still. Others may say 10 or 15 over is good enough for me, because I understand that speeding kills. So every officer is going to deploy their own level of enforcement, I guess, or conditions. In any case, it's illegal. It's illegal to speed even 1 kilometer over. 1 kilometer over. I added a plural where no plural was required. I witnessed a lady taking her maybe 2-year-old son on an Uber without a car seat. This seems illegal. It is illegal. There is no exemption under the Highway Traffic Act allowing Ubers to transport children that are required to be in a child restraint without one. The driver of that motor vehicle could be charged under the Highway Traffic Act for that. Maybe the parents for permitting it to happen, because it's not legal. It's unsafe. But I will say this, there is an exemption for buses and taxis. Now, Ubers are not buses or taxis. So there you go. Just because it's not safe, I wouldn't do it. But it is illegal in an Uber. And I don't know, I've stopped so many drivers, and I check every child seat I see, I check when I'm on the road. And I can't tell you how many where the children were not buckled, no chest clip, or chest clip with a plastic crappy clip and not the belt clip, the actual harness. I've stopped people where the child is perfectly harnessed, but the seat is not even attached to the seatbelt. Like, it's not attached to the seat in any way. It's just free floating projectile waiting to be launched on a collision. I've seen some really horrifying things. And could you imagine what would happen in that situation in a collision? Anyway, very scary, and lots of tickets issued for that. Please, if you're going to transport children, do it legally. Find out how to do it properly. Find out from either a company, or talk to the police or fire to help you install child restraint seats correctly. It's a major deal. It's the difference between killing or protecting your child. Can you get a ticket for going 5 kilometers under the limit? Well, if you're in the passing lane, which is not really a passing lane, but the left lane, technically you could be unnecessary slow driving. I think 5 kilometers would be unreasonable, because I don't think anyone has to go the speed limit, like right up into the line. There are many reasons why you may not be reaching the speed limit. Now, in Toronto, most of the time on the highway, you're in traffic, so it's not an issue. But if you're not going the speed limit, stay to the right. Lane 2, lane 3. There's options. That's where you should be if you're not going the speed limit. Now, if you're holding up people who are speeding by doing the speed limit, good on you, because nobody should be speeding. And if you want to be that person who makes a stand and goes the legal limit, then I support you. That's me. I set my speedometer and I set it at the limit and I ride it, and everyone gets angry at me, and too bad. Now, I don't go in the passing lane. I don't stay in the left lane because I appreciate that there are people who actually have to go above the speed limit, like police, fire, and ambulance, so they can pass me on the left. But I'm not doing it because I'm helping speeders out. I'm actually hoping that they get pulled over as they pass me, as they should. But no, 5 kilometers under, I think, would be unreasonable to give you a ticket. But that's me, and every officer is going to base their evidence based on their own observations. If you don't get a court trial date for 2 years for a ticket, will the ticket get dismissed automatically? No. I just went to court for a ticket that was 4 years old, and it was withdrawn. More water. It was withdrawn, but it doesn't have to be. 36 minutes, and between the heat here and the dry, I almost died right there. Yeah, it was scary. Okay. In hazardous weather conditions, can you get a ticket for going the posted limit? No. Well, here's the thing. If you are in hazardous weather conditions and you are presented with a amber light or a red light and you apply the brakes and because of ice you slide through it, well, you're going to get a ticket for careless driving. You were driving beyond the speed of what is appropriate based on the weather conditions. Is it against the law for doing that? Not if it doesn't cause any issues. The speed limit's the speed limit. Are you taught to go slower? Yeah, you're taught to at least reduce your speed by 10 kilometers an hour in the rain or snow because that's smart. And it's all about getting to where you have to go safe and sound. So, hazardous weather, the description of hazard would suggest you should slow down. Do people at rear seats get fined if they're not wearing seatbelts? So if they're 16 or over, they would get a seatbelt. So yes, it's against the law not to wear a seatbelt in any position in the motor vehicle unless the vehicle was designed from factory in a year that didn't require seatbelts. So if it was a 1972 and seatbelts weren't a thing, then you can drive that vehicle without seatbelts today because it's a classic car and you don't have to put seatbelts in it. If it's a modern vehicle, everybody in the vehicle has to wear a seatbelt, and you can only occupy a seat that has a seatbelt. Now, if you speak to, what is the question here? So who can get a ticket? So if they're under the age of 16, the driver gets the ticket, not the individual. 16 and over, the person gets the seatbelt. Does stunt driving stick on your record for life? So the conviction stays on your record for 3 years, as does any offense, 3 years from the date of conviction. So it will come off. Now, does your insurance company look at you and say, high risk, we're going to charge this person money? Probably going to keep that for a long time on your file. But their current record, I mean, they have their own rules for what they keep. They can just look back 3 years. Or maybe 4 years. In any case, 3 years is where it stays on the record. If they make their own notes, that's up to them. What is a good reason to what is this? Oh, what is a good reason to release a heli after a high-speed chase? Helicopter. Well, we don't have one, so if we were to call a friend, one of the neighboring agencies that has helicopters, I don't know. I've never activated air support before. I don't know. But if you look at LAPD shows, it's like every time. Need air support? Put a bird in the air. What is the fine for driving with a suspended license? The fine, I believe it's going to be no set fine and go directly to court and justify yourself. Driving with a suspended license is no bueno. But I don't know what the number would be. I believe it's a range based on whatever the court decides to impose. I was in an LAPD helicopter when I was in California. Who dis? Really? No kidding. Okay. What do we got? Got a question here. I got to go back and look at... Oh, Volley. Hey, we have someone who joined. Volley, did they send me a message? Let's see. Nope, they just joined. Well, I can do a welcome. Welcome to Volley. Thanks for jumping into our space. That's a personalized message to Adhel. Did I say that right? Adhel? You can tell me if I pronounced it right later on Volley. Can you apply to be an officer with traffic tickets? Okay, can you apply to be a police officer if you have traffic tickets and an accident on your record? Well, I can tell you that if you have a collision and traffic tickets that suggest that you are not following the rules, and that's a current behavior pattern, then probably no. So the example being is if you were, I had tickets on my record. I was 16 years old as a new driver. I got a stop sign and I got a speeding ticket. Not necessarily on the same day, but I did get 2 tickets when I was a kid. I applied to be a police officer much later. And no, that didn't stop me from becoming a police officer, but my behavior changed as I got older and more experienced, and I didn't get any more tickets. See where I'm going with this? So yeah, the deal is that if you have a collision, and I had a collision, things happen. It's life. It's what you do with your life after those things. So if you were 6 weeks before you applied, you got a stunt driving charge, I don't think you're getting in. You'd probably have to wait 5 or so years to get over that. What is this? Could you be ticketed for hanging air freshener like obstructing view? Yeah, you can, because you can't obstruct your view. So hanging anything, air freshener, there's no exemption for having evergreen trees hanging from your rearview mirror. If it's obstructing the view of the driver, blocking a portion of your windshield, any portion of your windshield, then yeah, you could be charged. That's pretty funny. And I've seen people with collections like there's not just a tree, a scented tree hanging from the rearview mirror. It's a forest. There's a lot going on there that they're trying to cover up. Okay, if a driver doesn't have a license, does the passenger who does have a license get a ticket? Good question. So here's the deal. If the driver is the person in charge of that motor vehicle, the passenger in that motor vehicle is the owner of the motor vehicle or is in charge of it, and the driver has taken it with permission of that person, then they can be charged for allowing an unlicensed driver to drive their motor vehicle. They're permitting it to happen. If they were not the owner of that motor vehicle, they just happened to be in there and had no knowledge, then they wouldn't be charged, or they shouldn't be charged. They could be charged, but I would say that it's not reasonable to convict them. But at the same time, that's not my judge. It's not my judgment required for who gets convicted. That's the judge or JP who would decide. Just my opinion. So if I lend you my car, or I'm sitting with you as I lent you the car, and you're not licensed, it's on me. Even if I didn't know you were unlicensed, I could still be charged if I lent it to you. Let's see here. What is this? I've seen 7 kids in a GTA car and the back seats didn't have seat belts for all passengers. This would be illegal. Yeah. So it's overcrowding for one, but yeah, I stopped a car with 5 people in it, and I knew the car was a 4-passenger vehicle, so one person had to have not been wearing their seatbelt. Even if they were 2 people in one seatbelt, it would still be illegal, and I charged them for that. So yes, a 4-seater can carry 4 people. What is this? Can you be ticketed for hanging? We talked about that. Adele. Oh, really? Hang on a second. Adele. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Adele. Cool. Thank you for clarifying pronunciation. Question of masks. What are we asking about masks? Oh, masks. Yes. Hanging from the rearview mirror would also be an issue. Those are also obstructions. Do you still consider the driver responsible in a Tesla if it's an autopilot? Absolutely. I was going to say something else, but absolutely. They are required to be in the driver's seat. They are required to be paying attention and to take control of a vehicle if things go sideways. And they can't be on their cell phones. They can't be, chilling out, having a read of their favorite newspaper. Sergeant Murray Campbell joining us right now. Which mic? Oh, that's the mic. Okay, we got that one going up. We were just discussing, is the driver of a Tesla responsible when they're driving their Tesla in autopilot mode?
Yeah, absolutely. They're the driver. They're responsible for everything that they do and the car does. So
I was in court for one, and I wasn't the officer, but I was consulting with the prosecutor during the trial because I things were jumping out of my mouth as I had to give these tips. And basically, this guy had gotten a cell phone ticket, communications device. He's typing away, and he gets charged by the officer, and he's making the argument that a Tesla is an autonomous vehicle. So my question was, can you drive it? Will it drive while you're in the passenger seat? So his answer was, well, no, you have to be in the Well, why do you have to be there? And he had to go through all the stuff explaining why he's the one driving. So he didn't win.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? We do not have autonomous vehicles eligible to drive by themselves here unless they have a couple of pilot projects going on in designated areas. But right now they have operators on board that are there as a safety factor.
Those may have even been canceled.
They may have been canceled because I did hear of one of them crashed.
There was a small vehicle that I may have taken a ride in that may have struck a tree afterwards. I fortunately was not on that vehicle when it hit the tree, but yeah. I think we're a long way away from seeing truly autonomous vehicles deployed in Ontario, although I'm seeing all sorts of videos online where people are getting into taxi services with vehicles that look like Transformers. They have these giant devices attached to them. I can't imagine that working here with all the snowfall and stuff that falls out of the sky blocking those cameras, I think they'd be all disabled.
Well, you know what, Sean? If it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Well, I'm seeing them. It must be true. Yeah. Hey, what's it? Can I have red daytime running lights? The only lights you're legally permitted to project forwards are yellow or white. It doesn't speculate or specify time of day for when those lights are operating. And your high beams are your daytime runners on low power.
On some vehicles there.
True. You can have LEDs in some that replace the high beams. That's true. Yeah.
And at no time can you have a red light pointing to the front unless you're an emergency vehicle and you're actually in the act of responding to an emergency.
Right.
There's a specific charge to red light to front.
Yes, there is, as well as intermittent flashes of red light. Another charge.
Yep. You know what? We have amber and white lights to the front and red to the rear, so that we know which way the vehicle's going. We know which way the vehicle's facing. We know which way the vehicle has the capacity to move. So there's a reason for it, and that's why there's a law for it.
So the answer is no. You cannot. What is this? Okay. There was a question earlier about can a bicycle be on the highway, and I was trying to remember if it was CCs, it was 50 CCs minimum to be on the highway, like to be on an expressway. They used to see signs as you enter the highway to say that nothing with an engine displacement below a certain amount. I don't see those signs anymore.
No, there are. The Highway Traffic Act has certain regulations for the provincial highways, and the City of Toronto has bylaws that regulate places like the Allen Expressway, Don Valley Parkway, and Gardner. I don't know if it's divided into CCs anymore because we do allow electric motorcycles.
True.
That have 0 CCs to be operating on them.
I got to go look into that because I just remember as a kid seeing those signs.
Yep.
And they are no more.
Used to keep the this really small
Mopeds.
Mopeds off.
It was mopeds, yeah. Which many people don't understand. I saw another one going by. It was a conversion bicycle, gas-powered bicycle. I saw one on the road a couple days ago. It's not legal. Cannot convert your bicycle into a motorcycle and ride it on the road.
Oh, can you imagine all the fines you would get for operating that on the highway?
On the highway, in addition to just being anywhere on the road. You mean an expressway?
No.
Just any highway.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah. You got basic. You have unsafe vehicle. You've got unlicensed vehicle. You've got likely a driver who's unlicensed. You have drive no insurance. Failed to display plate, or failed to register vehicle. What else could we throw at that?
Unsafe for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you know what? As soon as you put one of those gas-powered motors on it, it's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So or a moped.
Right. Because it's low power.
Right. But it doesn't matter if it's an e-bike. Same thing. If it doesn't conform to the restrictions that are put in place for this project, then it's a motor vehicle.
I was with Brandon when he was in the office. We were driving somewhere. We pulled over a chap on a bicycle with this weed eater motor that was like figured out. And he had no pedals. The chain was disconnected. Like even if you wanted to argue that he was a bicycle, he wasn't a bicycle. And there was no argument because you couldn't win this one. But it was pretty interesting to see how these things are strapped together with glue and all these little.
I've seen a few.
Oh,
I have seen a few.
Don't buy one of these, folks. Don't waste your money. Get a license. Get a real vehicle. Can I have a PA system on my truck? Well, yeah, if you use it on private property. If you're on the road and you're yelling at people through your PA system, you may find yourself getting charged for unnecessary noise.
I do believe there's a regulation that prohibits it as well.
Sirens for sure.
Yep.
But CB. When I was a kid, I had a CB with a PA on it. I think it's just siren, but I may be wrong. How are Uber drivers permitted to have blue light on the roof? Looks like a blue taxi sign. I think an illuminated sign is going to be different than a projecting bulb, but I may be wrong. I don't have a lot of experience with Ubers with blue lights on the roof.
I know that Lyft has purple ones.
In the window, right?
Window, it's purple.
But I think the argument there is going to be different. A difference between a projector bulb and an illuminated plastic globe. I'll go with that. Can I use my friend's trailer from another province? Can you borrow or rent a trailer? Well, if you rent a what's that company out of Arizona?
U-Haul.
U-Haul. They're all from Arizona. So yeah, you can.
It has to be properly licensed. It has to be a safe trailer because the trailer is a vehicle on the roadway. And as long as you have permission for it and you carry the documentation with you, absolutely no problem.
And at the end of the day, if it's not safe, but you think it is, and you're wrong, well, guess what? You're still responsible for it. If it's on your vehicle, you're responsible. And you can't just say, my friend said it's okay. It doesn't work. Okay. going through. Hey, just a reminder, if you are driving during rush hour and you decide that you want to take a little break, pull over, grab a coffee, know that we are back into towing. Rush hour route parking is being enforced. Lots and lots of tickets that were issued last week because enforcement began last week. But as of today, July 4th, we are enforcing the laws and towing. So if you don't want to come outside from your coffee break to find your vehicle missing, then you shouldn't be parking there in the first place.
And you know what? It is an expensive thing to make the mistake of doing.
And you know about a bit about parking, and towing.
I do know
in particular.
a bit about towing. Yep. Our 3 tow providers have been given notice of increased towing that's going to be happening today. I know it's already started this morning, and watch out this afternoon. Extra tow trucks going to be on the road responding to our calls.
So here's an interesting question. Would you pull over a firefighter responding if they're responding with their green light and speeding in their personal vehicle? So you have to know that a firefighter is not exempt from speed. That green light allows the courtesy or signals the courtesy for other drivers to pull over and let that person go by. But you're not allowed to go through red lights and you're not allowed to exceed the speed limit. Would I pull them over? Yeah, I would, because they're speeding and they're not exempt. They're not covered under any law. They're putting everybody at risk.
Absolutely. You know what? They have to get to their fire station to get their fire truck to respond to help somebody. If they're putting everybody else at risk while they're doing it, there's no point in having them going out there.
They're not being responsible.
But you know what? I must say, these are volunteers. These are people that are coming to help you, your family, or your neighbors. And if you do see a volunteer firefighter that is trying to actually respond to a call to get to his fire truck, do the courteous thing. Let them go by.
You don't. Here's a misconception. We don't have to go fast to get somewhere fast. We have to get past people who are in our way. If they pull out of the way, we can usually get through things much quicker. Now, we don't have volunteer firefighters in the city of Toronto. And that's just part of the deal. We don't have them. We have all professional firefighters that respond. It's only in police, fire, ambulance vehicles that we utilize this equipment. Again, volunteer firefighters do amazing work. I'm not slagging them when I say I'll give them a ticket, but they need to be responsible. And listen, if they're going beyond the speed limit and creating collisions on the way, it's a problem. Okay, do I need an M license for a 4-wheel slingshot? 4-wheel slingshot? 3-wheel slingshot. Slingshots are 3-wheel, I think. Slingshots fall under a specialty. They have a deal where they are a special condition of 3-wheel. No, it's a G license. It's a G license under a condition. So you can use it with a G. You have to wear a helmet though for the slingshot. But I was thinking for a second, 3-wheeled motorcycle endorsement. That's different. Okay. Oh, these are some good ones that came in. Boo, boo, boo. My rear view mirror fell off. I've been trying to fix it. So far, no good. Would I get a ticket? As long as you have... So in Ontario specifically, I have to specify, in Ontario, you only require one rear view mirror, one mirror's view to the rear. So if you are driving and your rear view mirror on the window has fallen off, you have less of a view, but you still have side mirrors, assuming they are functional, and then you can legally still drive. Get it fixed, but you're not breaking the law by not having a rear view mirror on your windshield, as long as you have at least one mirror to the rear, which is weird. You'd think you'd need to have 3 because, well, it's a factory requirement, but factory requirement to sell a vehicle is different for what's required to be on the road.
Well, Sean, think about it like a cube van or something like that has a box in the back with a roll-up door that you can't see through. They're not going to be able to see directly behind them.
Minivan with carrying product or stuff. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of reasons why you couldn't see out the back. If you had tinted windows and you couldn't see out your rearview mirror, if you painted it completely black, permitted, as long as you have clear view to the rear by at least one mirror.
My mirror in my new car has a dual function. It actually has a mirror and it has a rear camera.
I think that's the coolest thing ever.
It is, and it really is. And when the window is rainy or dirty, it's tucked away in a position that it doesn't get all the road salt and everything on it. It's awesome.
I think that's so cool.
Love it.
I want one. I just don't want to buy a new vehicle. Okay, can I drive my lawnmower on the road? I hope it's a lawn tractor, because driving a lawnmower is really, really odd. There's no seat in a lawnmower. But anyway, maybe it's a riding mower. In any case, so it's not a street legal vehicle. Are you just momentarily getting onto the road to get to the other side of your lawn because you're servicing your property? Is different than if you're driving it to school. You can't drive that to school. It's not a street legal vehicle.
You know what? Technically, unless it is an implement of husbandry used in farming, or road maintenance under the contract with the road authority, like the municipality has authority over the road, it cannot go on the road at all. 100%. It's a motor vehicle. Can you get arrested for impaired driving on a lawn tractor?
Even on your lawn?
Absolutely.
Anywhere?
Same as a golf cart. No, they're not allowed on the road.
And e-bikes too. E-bikes are allowed on the road, but you can be charged for impaired operation while you're on them. Anything other than muscular power under the criminal code. So that's anything. That's a electric skateboard. That's anything other than muscular power.
Absolutely.
The one wheels, the balance boards, the hover boards. Those are all motor vehicles under the criminal code. So all the folks who are drunk, wobbly, driving those one wheel unicycles, all those things. Mind you, I'd be impressed if someone who was impaired was able to operate those one wheels. I saw a guy whizzing down the sidewalk this morning. He must have been doing 40 kilometers an hour on a one wheel. Those are super dangerous and super illegal. Okay, here's a question for, can I park on the side of their highway to answer a phone call or take a nap? Well, there's specific laws against parking on the King's Highway, so you can get a charge. On that, we don't really have a shoulder that would accommodate parking on the side of the DVP, but I imagine the same would fall into play.
You know what? If you're on a municipal road and you pull your car off the roadway and it is in park, you can use your cell phone.
Where you can legally park. So if you're in a no stopping zone, it's illegal.
Right. But say the shoulder of the road. Absolutely. Pull over, come to a complete stop. Make your vehicle not able to be set in motion by putting it in park, and then operate your cell phone.
And that's for the purposes of calling for a valid reason. We don't want people pulling over to the highway to make a phone call. Hopefully they have Bluetooth or something else, but pulling over, those are areas where you are putting yourself at risk. So it's not a suggested place to pull over. Better to pull off the highway altogether.
Yeah.
But if your vehicle is disabled, you're breaking down, well, that's a different story altogether. You do what you got to do to get towed away. But this isn't, the highway is not the appropriate place to make a call to your mom because you miss her.
Maybe not the controlled access highway.
Maybe not. Let's see here. What age is good to sit in the front seat for a child? She wants to sit in the front seat right now. That's a good question. We suggest, and it's a suggestion only, that once a child is out of their booster or car seat, which has a requirement of 8 years, 80 pounds, or 4'9", any one of those three, which may not be the safest, but that is the legal minimum to get out of the car seat and booster. Once they are that age, we suggest staying in the back seat until they are at least 14 years old. That is not us saying it's a law. That is us saying it's a suggestion for their safety. Airbags can cause trauma for smaller people in the front seat. Also, doctors and big brain people say that the skeletal development has not achieved the something or other like structural rigid. I don't know, doctor stuff. Front seat bad.
So what you're saying is it's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
It is certainly not recommended.
Yes, back seat till you're 14 is the best. Now I've been told, oh, but that makes no sense. My 14-year-old or my 13-year-old is 6'5". We're suggesting because there's no law requiring them to be in the back seat. We just think that the best place for both animals and children, oddly enough, both of them, in the back seat to be away from those airbags, especially for smaller stature people. And then one person said, well, I'm 4'9" and I'm 43. Should I be in the back seat? Well,
you know what? Statistically, it's safer. It
Yes.
really is safer to be in the back seat. You know what? There's an awful lot of cars out there, maybe pickup trucks with only, one row. They're not crew cabs or something like that, or two-seater cars where you don't have the option. If your child's coming, your child's in the front seat.
Yeah.
Just be aware that they are at increased risk.
It is less safe. Would you suggest a criminal justice degree for a job in the police force? My state does not need one. So, A, you're in the States. I don't know what the requirements are in your jurisdiction, but in Ontario, Canada, I can tell you that being the best candidate you can be is good. So regardless of what your degree is, it's probably going to score you points beyond someone who doesn't have a degree, if a degree is required at all. For us, a degree is not required, although recommended, and grade 12 education is the minimum. An OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma or equivalent, would be minimum. But again, the more you have in terms of schooling, the better you are going to fare against your competition. And it is a competitive sport to some degree, becoming a police officer. Fewer jobs than people applying, generally speaking. But we are taking applications. And I know you're in the States and you may not qualify. But for anyone who's interested in a job with the Toronto Police Service, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers for everything you ever wanted to know and more about becoming a member of our service. We're not just hiring police officers. We're looking for parking enforcement officers, special constables, civilian jobs and administrative jobs, mechanics, technicians, IT, everything. We are a city unto ourselves. We have to run 24/7. We have to be self-sufficient, and it takes many to make it work. So check us out. Okay, are U.S. drivers required to show proof of insurance of when you're stopped? Yes, every driver operating in Ontario has to show proof of insurance upon demand. So license, ownership, and insurance, those three requirements are demands made by a police officer. If you're unable to provide that proof, you will be charged for failing to surrender or failing to show proof of insurance.
Well,
Now,
it's failing to surrender the actual document,
and then there's having insurance.
but then there's not having insurance at all.
Different situation. If you don't have insurance, you'll be charged under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act of Ontario, and that has pretty hefty fines. Now, we would do some investigation to find out beyond just you not giving us a piece of paper saying you have insurance. We would investigate with your insurance company to find out the status of your policy. And if it was found that you did not, we would charge you. That would have fines that range from $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail for your first offense.
And Sean, it is what's called a reverse onus. So the obligation is on the driver to prove that they have insurance. The obligation isn't on us to prove that you don't. So if you can't provide it to us, we're going to assume you don't have it.
Yeah, and very often the assumption is that you don't have with you. There's I find that we don't jump to the conclusion that you don't have insurance. It depends on the situation.
Yep, absolutely.
Because more often than not, I issue tickets for failing to surrender as opposed to failing to surrender the document as opposed to driving without insurance. And it all depends on how the investigation goes.
But you know what? One of those clues are when you look at the person's history and they've been warned a couple of times and they've got a couple of tickets for not surrendering. That's a clue.
Well, a lot of people, and they've even openly said it, I pay a $65 fine, which is what not surrendering a valid document is, for insurance specifically. And they say, I just pay $65 every few months and I drive without insurance. And that has got to be one of the biggest bonehead moves for people to do, because no one understands what a life-altering experience getting into a collision without insurance is until it happens to them, and paying for the rest of their lives for their choices and their decisions. You hurt somebody and you're on the hook for big dollars.
Yep, absolutely. And they will take everything. And they will continue to take everything you have because you knowingly went out there without insurance.
Oh, yes. Can I ride a bike without a helmet, or as my mom lied to me all these years? So, in Ontario, if you're riding a bicycle, you must ride with a helmet unless you are 18 years old. You must. You can be charged for not riding it, and under a certain age, the parent or guardian, I suppose, would be the one responsible.
Yeah,
We've talked about this before.
I believe it's under 12.
Under 12, it would be parent or guardian, and if it's 16 or under with parental, there's a whole different form summons sheet. At the end of the day, yes, you can be charged, or someone's going to get charged if you don't wear a helmet. And if you are over the age of 18 or 18 or over, you should wear a helmet regardless of whether or not it's required, because you want to protect the computer housed neatly in your brain cavity.
You know what, Sean? I ride, drive, operate an awful lot of things, including bicycles. And the one thing you got to protect is your head. You can live without an arm. If should something really, really bad happen and you lose a limb, you can live without them. As soon as you scramble your melon, you're done. That's life over for you.
And it's not just you. You won't know any better if you scramble your melon, but the people who are wiping the saliva off your lips or changing your diaper will not appreciate the fact that you could have protected or made it better if you would have just worn a helmet. And this doesn't prevent collisions. It doesn't save you, but it increases your risks of survival, your chances of survival, and it reduces the chance of serious injury. Just standing still and falling over, you could hurt your head. If you're wearing a helmet, you reduce the chance of or the severity of the injury. I've heard so many stories of people who were, one person died, if the story serves me correctly. The mom was standing in the driveway, sitting on a bicycle, not even in motion, and fell over and hit her head on the curb. Had she been wearing a helmet, she would have lived to talk about it. She did not survive. And head injury, this was an interesting conversation I had yesterday with a Mr. Valentine, if he's watching. The deal is that as we get older, we need helmets more, not less. He's a sports guy, and he was saying that younger people have a higher chance of survival and recovery from minor brain injuries, but people over the age of 40 are severely more inclined to have serious and life-altering injury based on minor head trauma. So things I didn't know about until yesterday, having a conversation with that man. Okay. Let's have a look-see of what we are looking at, and we're very close to saying goodbye because it's 11 o'clock, and I got things to do.
We do.
Yes, we do. We have a presentation to make. We have new recruits. Can an MTO pull over a non-commercial vehicle for speeding and give a ticket without a cop there to issue the ticket? So this has been an interesting conversation. There's been an expansion as to what they can do. And my understanding is they can pull over vehicles that are non-commercial, mostly focused on safety. But the conversation, and I don't remember where the conversation went, but I think they've got expanded powers, or they were always had the powers, but they tend to focus on commercial vehicles and now can do more. But I don't have the specifics to give you.
I don't have the stats on that. I know they did get expanded powers because, you know what, there's not enough of us out there to keeping an eye on everything. So if they're provincial offences officers or special constables, they have the ability to write provincial offences tickets. And if they do see a driver acting in a manner that they cannot turn away, I would expect them to go do it.
I would hope so. They are the extension of the good work that police officers do, making a road safe. They do the same, but different in more cases than not. Do you pull over cars that don't have headlights on at night or just drive by them? Well, yeah, we pull them over because those are extremely dangerous and often tend to turn to impaired driving charges. Those are hints, clues, things that suggest that someone might be under the influence. It has been an absolute pleasure. It is Monday, and we are signing off 6 minutes after 11. It's been a slice. Come back tomorrow. We'll be back at 10 a.m. and we'll talk to you for an hour. We'll answer your traffic and police questions. Hopefully, we'll have less fan noises and more air conditioning, but I say hopefully, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to be right where we are. Yeah, it's unlikely. All right, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Ciao for now. I see my wife. My wife says stay safe. You stay safe too. Take care.